And hello again, YouTube. It is 3:16 p.m. Wednesday, April 27th, 2022, and I just decided to get off a stop earlier than where I actually needed to, just because while it's on my mind, I really want to get this story of how I met and hooked up with Crystal out of my head, and I think if I get on, if I get off the bus at 3rd Street and walk to the mental health clinic. Yeah, dude, back up. You're blocking the crosswalk, and you got plenty of room to back up. This dumbass doesn't know how far back his car goes. I kind of want to walk on his hood. Yep, you're blocking the crosswalk. Yes, you are. Oh yeah, and there's another good reason to get off before 3rd Street. That construction on the other side of 3rd Street has got Thomas completely blocked. Which I was actually going to walk down Windsor, but now I think I want to walk down Thomas just to see if I make better time on foot than that bus does in the construction traffic that doesn't have a bus lane to help it along. So anyway, as I was going to say before I got distracted by an asshole who doesn't know how to drive, who blocked a crosswalk, and wanting to point out the traffic faux pas here. Oh, and by the way, for those who don't know, I'm on Thomas Road, walking westbound on the south sidewalk from 7th Street. Anyway, wanted to actually get the story of how I met and hooked up with Crystal. It finished and recorded because I realized in all my rambling on the numerous videos I shot on Monday, I never really... I was trying so many times to get the story of how I ended up at a multimillionaire's house for a small house party and what happened at the party, and I never got anywhere close to that because I kept going back to the events that led up to it. Yeah, this is all done completely unscripted, so it is what it is. You're dealing with my broken brain. Imagine living with this broken brain and trying to survive daily when your thought processes are as jumbled as mine are. And bear in mind, that's what I'm supposed to be receiving disability, but I lost it by having too much money, and I had too much money because I received too much money in my bank account. I had too much money in my bank account because I received the federal stimulus that everybody else under a certain income received, including a lot of very wealthy people. Well, I'm passing the bus right now. That's pretty neat. I guess I not only chose the way that would give me more time to talk, but I chose the way that was going to get me to my destination quicker. This is a nice break. There are not a lot of shady sidewalks in Phoenix, so bless this property owner for having trees. And also for having a recessed sidewalk that's not right adjacent to the speeding cars on the road and those giant truck killing machines. Oh, hey, the bus is almost catching up with me again. All right, anyway, dang, I'm almost at 3rd Street, and I've made no progress on my story about Crystal. Or on my story about parking at a multimillionaire's house either. On that note, I feel like I need to make contact with Chappie again, just for no other reason to let him know I had a great time. And if he ever wants to have a karaoke party that actually features good quality karaoke, he should book with me in advance. And quit wasting his time with his current AV guy, because his current AV guy is selling him a whole lot of stuff that is beyond what he needs just because he knows he has deep pockets. Kind of reminds me of the AV guy for that British bar I was working at late last year, the Union Jack. Yeah, it seemed like HB was just selling them stuff just to sell them stuff because they had deep pockets instead of looking for the most sensible solution to their audio-video needs and trying to be budget-minded. But I guess that's how you run a successful business, and maybe where I fail with that. So, Dang, I'm almost at my destination. I've said nothing about Crystal. I'm failing miserably. Yeah, you need to stop. There's a pedestrian in the walkway here. This is actually a designated walkway. Yeah, I'm over halfway through my walk. I haven't talked about Crystal at all. So, as I was explaining in the last video, I was at the Hideaway. I generally keep to myself at the Hideaway. I sing karaoke. I occasionally see people that I know. I have short conversations with them, but generally they're there with the friends they arrived with. And I really rarely, well, I see single women and kind of wish I was regularly hooking up with single women. I very rarely, if ever, approach them and never really try to pick up on single women, just because I read so many things on the internet, particularly on Reddit, where just like that sort of behavior is viewed as completely toxic, and the place to hook up with somebody is on a dating app. Yeah, I'm under 6 foot and over 50, so probably wasting my time on that. But okay, good to know you all ladies feel that way. I won't talk to you, and I'll hope maybe, just maybe, one of y'all approaches me. So I did at one time glance over at Crystal, and the thoughts that were running through my mind, like she asked me what was running through my mind, well, actually when we were in bed later that night, and I didn't tell her everything running through my mind because I didn't want to hurt her feelings, but one of the main things that was running through my mind was, I wonder if I could stay sexually attracted to a woman who shaves her head. Different things run through my mind. That was a big one for me when I was looking at her. Which, of course, you know, I hadn't even really fully come to the conclusion of that, and deciding as to whether or not I could do that and would stay attracted to that. Yeah, that was one of the many reasons I hadn't approached her. And yes, I walked by the clinic because I'm determined to get the story out, and I got lots of time to kill. So, yeah, she, I didn't tell her that. Although there was one time talking about, hey, what are you thinking of right now? You want a fun game to play with your friends that have autistic tendencies or that otherwise are on the spectrum, especially like high functioning autistic people. When they go silent and they kind of look like they're in their own world, ask them what they're thinking about right then. Because most of them will not immediately discern it's a rhetorical question, or maybe it's not a rhetorical question. I really have trouble discerning rhetorical questions, and I've noticed in some internet spaces with people that have similar issues to me that's a pretty common trait amongst us. So, and granted, some people will just mask and say, "Oh, nothing." But some people who, you know, people that are like-minded to myself will maybe feel comfortable enough to actually honestly answer that question, depending on what it is they're thinking of, and if they think it's gonna hurt your feelings, or it might be possible that little filter isn't even on at the moment. But yeah, at one point we were in bed and we'd been we're enjoying a little post-coital bliss, and just kind of laying there and holding each other, and I'm just enjoying the good feeling of being pressed up against her, and my mind is wandering in many places where it often goes. And at any given time, I'm typically thinking about 5 or 6 completely unrelated things. So asking me what I'm thinking about is a really open-ended question. But the thing that was most at the top of my mind, and what I answered her with, was the potential of Elon Musk taking over Twitter. She just gave me this look like, what? Well, you asked. And then I proceeded to follow with more details about what I had read and what I thought of it. And I could tell pretty quickly that she was not interested whatsoever. So, nice car. Wow. So not always a good idea to ask me what I'm thinking. I could be thinking of all kinds of stuff, I mean, I'm sure within the next couple of days, somebody might ask me what I'm thinking of, and I'll be like, that's that nice black vet that was parked over near the corner of Virginia Circle and Virginia Circle. Oh yes, this is the corner of Virginia Circle and Virginia Circle. At least we got an East Virginia Circle and a North Virginia Circle, so there's some distinction there. I used to live on the corner of Blackledge Drive and Blackledge Drive, and I believe both of them were East Blackledge Drive. So, yeah, confusing stuff. It's interesting. I've never really walked this direction. I was thinking that there would probably be an alley going to the north or a street going to the north, and I guess I knew damn well there's parking lots going to the north, but I didn't realize that the street turned into an alley like this with a sign that says no through traffic. Yeah, right. Enforce that. And I can guarantee the city of Phoenix, even though they have this marked as no through traffic, schedules their trash delivery vehicles to use it for through traffic. So anyway, where was I? I was trying to explain how I got together with Crystal. I've made no progress with that, but I'm glad I got to at least get the antidote of, what are you thinking about? Oh, Elon Musk taking over Twitter. It's been consuming a lot of my mind lately, especially the last 2 days, since it looks like it's a done deal. Especially after so much news media said, oh, it couldn't happen, and it would destroy democracy. Anyway, I am not going to sidetrack on the Elon Musk Twitter thing. There's no shortage of that on the internet, and why would you look to me for an opinion on that anyway? Although I will say, I do now have a Twitter account. I said I would never be a twit on Twitter. I've always derided people for talking about how toxic Twitter is, and I'm like, well, why are you there? Why do you care? And another thing I've often pointed out, people saying, well, there's people I like to follow there, and blah blah blah. I'm like, you don't have to be on Twitter to follow people on Twitter if you're into that. And on that note, I used to regularly, wow, look at this. Looks like homeless people have been making fires right there and have even charred the wall. That's classy. I just love Phoenix. All right, well, we got a new wall going up here, some kind of development there. That's interesting. I always enjoy these little walks when I got time for these. There's so much stuff that I see that I otherwise wouldn't see. And I get to share it with you all. Good times. And some razor wire. Keep those fire starters out of that yard over there, whatever's over there. Oh, and a cool looking mural that's been partially taken away by black, because I see a painted building and I want to turn it black. No pretty blue colors anymore. I want it all black. Anyway, so I do have a Twitter now. It's at Karaoke by Dan Dan. I really wanted just at Dan Dan. Of course, that is taken. My fallback was at Dan Dan the Taxi Man, which was my channel name for years and years on YouTube before that one got suspended for copyright issues. And it was also, all right, we got a cyclist on the sidewalk because there's legit nowhere for a bike to ride where he doesn't get plowed by that Beamer. I wanted to maybe use Dan Dan the Taxi Man. That's a name I've been known by for a long time, and was the name of my first YouTube channel that got pulled for copyright reasons. But that was actually, I think, 1 or 2 characters too long for a Twitter username. So LOBRK Road. All right. That's a nifty walkway. I think I'll check it out. Picture viewing day. Wow. I wonder what's being here. And to be honest, I don't even remember what used to be there. It kills me when I see things changing and I can't put my finger on what used to be there. Probably just houses. Anyway. Yeah, there used to be a lot of houses in this neighborhood, and they're mostly being replaced with denser urban development, and I get mixed feelings about that, but progress is what it is, and yeah, I'm glad there's at least a few of these older historic kind of houses here, including small little bungalows like that one. So yeah, I couldn't use Dan Dan the Taxi Man. The next thing I tried was Karaoke by Dan Dan. That was available, and I went with it. I do like that, unlike Reddit, when you commit to a username, and on that note, my username I'm u/Dan Dan the Taxi Man, all one word, all lowercase, on Reddit. Yeah, I do like the fact that I like Reddit, you're not permanently committed to it. I do know there's a way to change a channel or a username on YouTube, but damned if I can remember how to do it. but anyway, I found that was actually something surprisingly easy to do on Twitter, because Twitter had assigned me something like Daniel and a whole bunch of random numbers after it, which, no thank you. So yeah, at Dan Dan the Taxi Man, or sorry, no, I couldn't get that. Sorry, at Karaoke by Dan Dan. Capital K, capital B, 2 capital D's. I don't know if Twitter's case sensitive or not, just throwing that out there. I'll try to put a link in the video description here. I'm almost back to the clinic, still haven't hardly talked about Crystal at all. I love that architecture right there, especially the way the roof curves upward and that grand... Wow, I thought that was a frog or something. That's the sound of a sprinkler coming on. Listen to that sound, that's trippy. It sounds like it's really struggling. Good times. Anyway, the whole point of this was trying to get the story about Crystal out, and I'm failing miserably at that. So yeah, how about this party I went to last Saturday night at a multimillionaire's house? No, just kidding. I'm going to try to get to that story eventually. I am, because the video I shot in his bathroom with the glossy black urinal was awesome. Anyway, so yeah, I was looking at her, and one of the main thoughts that was running through my mind is, she has a pretty nice body, but could I stay attracted enough to want to hook up with a woman who shaves her head? and several of the voices in my head were saying no. And of course, then rethinking the whole Slapgate of last month, and that whole scenario. And I don't find Jada Smith attractive at all, largely because her head is shaved. Although there is a woman that I know that's been coming to my karaoke shows for years, many years, named Liz, who started shaving her head, I want to say, about 7-8 months ago, and I still find her attractive. And I did have once a fling with a white woman with a shaved head in like the mid-90s, and I was really crushed that was just that she just looked at me as she used me like a dude. I was just a convenient, quick piece of ass and good time for her, and she wasn't really interested in any communication after the one rather wild night and kind of cool next day that we had. But and I thought she was really attractive, but as a general rule, no, I don't find women with shaved heads attractive. But I was still, kind of checking her out. And I was also pretty curious as to whether or not she was hanging out with the other karaoke singer. I've actually got a video of this other karaoke singer that hangs out at hangs out over at the Hideaway, but also comes to my show. I'm trying to remember her name. I want to say Faith, but I don't think that's right. It's killing me. I can't think of her name. Anyways, her and her husband doesn't sing. He just hangs out. And he's cool as fuck. Him and I chat all the time. And his wife's an amazing singer. But yeah, I've got a video on my channel of her. It's just short, singing about a minute of a Anita Baker song. And it's got almost 800 views. Anyway, so she was there that night, Saturday before last. And we So I was kind of wondering if maybe the gal with the shaved head that seemed to have a rather nice body was one of her friends. That thought was running through my mind as well. But regardless of all that, she mostly struck me as unapproachable, so I never did approach her. And at the end of the night, like right before the bar was closed, or as the bar was closing, whatever, I went up to the bar and I was trying to get my tab to close out. I put a credit card down for my tab and trying to get my tab to close out, and I ended up standing kind of near her at the bar, just because I'm looking for an open space at the bar where I can stand there and try to, wave at the bartender, get their attention so she can print off my tab and I can sign it and put a tip on there and be good to go without leaving my credit card or being an asshole who didn't close out his tab. Anyway, at that point, the woman who I later found out was Crystal and spent a pretty solid 5 days naked with, told me that she looked directly at me while I was standing there and said, "Are you okay?" It's a really open-ended question for me because, generally speaking, I haven't been okay for years. It's debatable as if I've ever been okay, to be honest. I mean, what are we? How are we defining okay right now? Like, that's some really, it's easy to just nod and say, yeah, I'm fine. But I mean, realistically, I'm not really good at answering questions without giving full and complete answers that are way more than anybody ever wants. So, yeah, am I okay? I think I did manage to put out a half-hearted, yeah, no problem, and I misinterpreted her meaning completely. When she said, "Are you okay?" I thought she was bothered that I was standing that near her. I really did. I felt like I thought that was her code for you're in my personal space. At which point I backed up and went further down the bar to be further away from further down the bar to be further away from, oh, by the way, I'm walking in circles. Yes, I know. Went further down the bar to be further away from, and there's no sidewalk on the side of the road. Not cool. I went further down the bar to be further away from her because I felt like I had just offended her by being a man too close to her personal space. And feeling kind of disgruntled that that's sort of how the way the world works for the most part, and went a little bit further down the bar to where I was not conceivably in anybody's personal space, and it was like right after that the bartender, it's like, "Hey, you ready to close out? Ready to close out your tab?" And I'm like, "Yep." Signed it and left her a reasonable tip, at least what I think is a reasonable tip. I don't know. I had a friend of a friend a few weeks ago tell me after looking at the tip that I left that I was a cheap ass, pretty rudely. But I don't know. The bartenders over there always seem to give me pretty good service and seem to be pretty happy with me. So if I'm being a cheap ass, they certainly haven't given me any indication that I'm able to discern about it. And generally speaking, I tip them around 22%. So I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, that's not being super generous, but I don't think that makes me a cheap ass. It ends up not being a very big tip because I'm generally out by myself and I really don't drink or consume a lot. So, I mean, 20% on a $16 tab isn't much. But that's a separate tragedy. The dog's coming back towards me again. So, so I decided, didn't really give her any further thought at that point, other than I was, a little bummed out that, I'm just got to be cautious how close I stand to people. People get offended by that, that's what's in my head. And sign out, and then I walk through the parking lot, and I notice some people in the front of the bar arguing. That's a pretty common thing, but for the most part, I'm just feeling super, super alone. Just like, another night, I'm out 100% by myself. I mean, I talk to some people that I kind of know, but I'm not going home to any kind of after party, not going home to any kind of lover. I'm don't even have a ride home. I'm on foot in a city that has absolutely no public transportation offers, no public transportation options at closing time. Fuck my life. At which point, I just went to the bus stop directly in front of the bar, and I just sat down. I hadn't really started to do anything. I was just kind of sitting and reflecting on life, And would I have stayed there all night until the bus ran? Because I think the next bus was in like 3.5 hours. I don't know. I might have. I was still getting the Wi-Fi from the bar. A nice strong signal from the Wi-Fi of the bar sitting there. And I had fairly full batteries on both of my phones. So that's an option I was considering. I was also considering walking across the street to the Chevron and getting some food. As I was able to do that the week before, and that was generally a pleasant experience. But I certainly wasn't feeling like walking yet, and damned if I was thinking about using Uber or Lyft, because it's just too goddamn expensive. I just can't get with wasting that kind of money, and I really don't enjoy riding in strangers' cars like that. I'm a driver, not a passenger. That is what it is. I mean, bus passenger, yes. Transit passenger, yes. But passenger in another person's private car, I'm never, ever comfortable with that. Ever. I'm a driver. So, anyway, I sat there, and maybe about 5 minutes later, not very much later, the bald black girl sat down next to me and asked what I was doing. I told her waiting for the bus. And that's when we actually got into a conversation. And I asked what she was doing, and that's when she said she didn't drive. She's waiting for a lift. And I'm like, yeah, I can't really be arsed to pay that much for transportation. I said I might walk home at some point. So at some point I might even, change my mind and take one. But right now, I don't feel like doing that. And then she asked if I wanted to go back with her to her place for some more beers. And I'm like, yeah, that actually sounds great. I was not really looking forward to another long night alone. And so that's where we went. And about as quick as we got there, we went in her apartment. And before even going to the fridge or looking for beers or turning on a movie or anything else, like, I followed her directly to her walk-in closet. Directly through the apartment to the bedroom to the walk-in closet, at which point she completely stripped down naked in front of me. All right, shopping cart full of garbage. Yeah, she stripped down completely naked in front of me, and I quite enjoyed that show. And generally it's been my experience that if that general chain of events happens, I'm getting laid that night. I don't know what I did to prompt that kind of luck. I didn't hit on her whatsoever. The one time that she did actually say something to the bar, I probably said less than 2 words in response and got a distance away from her because it scared me. We did have a conversation later, and that she did say that she noticed me looking at her before, and that the reason she asked me that at the bar was not that she not that she felt that I was too close to her, and I did tell her that. It's like, I just thought you felt I was invading your space, and I thought I had offended you by standing too close to you. I said I wasn't trying to be too close. I was just trying to get my bar tab. It's like, no. She goes, I saw you looking at me in the bar, and you looked in pain. She goes, you looked to seriously be in pain. You looked to be suffering, and I was genuinely concerned if you were okay. And I'm like, I've been I have been suffering. I've been very extremely alone, and it's taken a hell of a toll on me. So yeah, I don't really know what I mean, usually sad and pathetic does not hook you up with chicks. Just saying. But on those off occasions, it I ended up going home with somebody I think is attractive, and it ended up being a pretty whirlwind 5 days of physical relationship after that. So, still trying to wrap my head around the pieces of that. I haven't heard back from her whatsoever since Saturday night. I'm pretty relieved about that. Things are sort of better with Priscilla and I at the moment. I'm not putting a whole lot of stock in that because that's been an on and off thing for, that always seems to get a little better, but not significantly better. That's been going on for years. So, Priscilla did say she saw her at the grocery store yesterday, or maybe the day before. I didn't really. I'm like, well, did you have a conversation with her? She goes, no, I have nothing to say to her. I'm like, well, okay. That's all the more we discussed that. I do expect I'll probably run into her again. We live very close to each other, and I'm sure we do, shop at some of the same places. So, and when that happens, I'm sure it'll be super awkward, or I might just stay super quiet and just walk right past her and pretend I didn't see her. It's hard to say, but at least the psycho text messages have stopped since Saturday. Although I did send her one Sunday morning. I feel like I kind of got the last word. Not that I was trying to be that guy, but I just kind of had to be that guy. Anyway, at this point I'm walking in circles around a gas station and looking probably suspicious as fuck. I'm going to wrap this up. I can't believe I've rambled and wandered aimlessly around Midtown Phoenix for over 31 minutes. But thanks for listening. Glad I finally got that story on recorded. Could have gone into more detail about what happened after she took her clothes off, because quite a bit happened, and there's still a lot of details fresh in my mind, and as I'm relaying the story, they're all kind of coming to me in a rush. But kind of like that abandoned safety vest down there. But I need to wrap this up, get something to eat, something to drink. Thanks for watching.